Thank you, Cole. John the Baptist is dead. The news hit like a punch in the gut. It was unsettling for all of them, but especially for the ones who knew John, who had heard his fiery preaching. Two of them had followed John before they met Jesus. And now they watch as another rabbi whom they love hears that his cousin has died, the man who baptized him, his relative who's only a few months older. And Jesus doesn't say a lot. It's easy to remember, as they know that John has been beheaded for decrying the sins of the powerful, that Jesus also preaches a very high ethic, that he also has a habit, like his cousin, of picking fights with people in power. And so, as they hear the shocking news and watch for Jesus' response, he's quiet, and they follow him as he withdraws away from the crowds, away from the prying eyes, looking for some solitude, a place to grieve without all of the people watching, without all of the noise. And so they get into a boat and they sail away. But word spread, just like it tends to. Desperate people tend to be very determined. And when they find someone who gives them a glimmer of hope, they are determined. And Jesus is that sort of a person. And so when people hear that Jesus is on the move, it doesn't take that long for them to find out where he's going. And as our small, exhausted, grieving crew nears the new shore, they see a whole crowd of people waiting. People who have their own griefs, their own needs, their own stories, desperate for Jesus to hear, hopeful that he can heal their hurts. And Jesus has a choice to make. What if, just this once, he didn't go ashore? Just went away for a little while to heal his own grief, to hear his own thinking without interruption. Who am I kidding? We all know Jesus. This is the guy who preached, "Blessed are the meek, and blessed are those who mourn, and the poor in spirit." Of course, he looks on a crowd of hurting people and has compassion on them despite his own hurt. And so he does go ashore. And he listens to story after story as person after person comes forward with their sickness, with their injury, and he heals them. He offers them the grace that they need to make it through the day. He works without rest for hours, ignoring his own needs to meet theirs. And as evening comes, the disciples are exhausted. They are grieving themselves and they are hungry. They know that their teacher is too. And they decide enough is enough. Jesus, it's late. Now they know that Jesus won't stop because of his own hunger, but they have a plan. The people are hungry, Jesus. They need to eat. Let them go find food. They can come back tomorrow. Jesus doesn't miss a beat. They don't need to go anywhere to find food. You can feed them. One small problem, Jesus. See, we have 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. It's not really enough for a full meal for all of us and you, let alone all of these people. You can try to give this out to the multitude, but they won't all even get one bite. It's just impossible. Jesus remains calm, undaunted, and simply says, "Bring me what you do have." And then he calls out in that booming preacher voice for all of the people to sit down in the grass in groups. And so the weary disciples bring what food they have to their rabbi. Jesus looks out at the people, and then he looks up to the sky, and he says a prayer. He breaks the bread, hands a piece to a disciple to hand off to someone who's hungry in the crowd. And it continues until you would think that all of the loaves and all of the fish had been used, but the food just keeps coming. Piece after piece until more than 5,000 people have been fed, more than they can eat, with leftovers beside. This story strikes me a little because where I come from, when someone is in mourning, a crowd shows up to offer them comfort and to give food to them. But in this story, the mourner feeds the multitude. There are a lot of people who are mourning in our world right now. I imagine most of us have some reason to mourn. Some of them are relatively small, a missed opportunity, missed moments with friends and family, not getting to be there the first time your grandchild takes their first steps or says Nana or Papa, seeing it on a video screen instead. Some of the things we mourn are even more heartbreaking. Loss of stability, loss of jobs and the ability to care for your family in the way that you would want to and provide for them. Some of us are mourning the loss of health or even the loss of lives of people we care about deeply. And if your days have been like mine recently, even amidst your own individual struggles, there's a constant cycle of needs communicated through news feeds and emails and phone conversations. More people need money and time and energy than it's possible for any one person to meet in a given day. And the very next day you get up and there's a whole new set of needs to meet. It can feel a little bit like trying to feed 5,000 people with a lunch that you only packed for yourself. I was contemplating this earlier this week and was rereading one of the favorite books that I've found since I came to ACU. It's by a Christian woman from the 14th century. Her name is Julian, and she wrote this book, Revelations of Divine Love. In it, she records a series of visions of God's love. And this is an excerpt from one of those. In this vision, he showed me a little thing the size of a hazelnut, lying in the palm of my hand. To my mind's eye, it was as round as any ball. I looked at it and I thought, what can this be? An answer came to me. It is all that is made. I wondered how it could last, for it was small. I thought it would suddenly disappear. But the answer in my mind was, it lasts. It will last forever because God loves it. In the same way, everything exists through the love of God. In this little thing, I saw three attributes. The first is that God made it. The second is that God loves it. And the third is that God cares for it. Looking at our world today, it's very easy to wonder how it's going to last, because no one of us has the resources to sustain every need we see. We only have the grace and the gifts that God has given us for this day. But fortunately, sustaining this world is not up to us. Our job is to take what we do have to Jesus and to trust that the maker and lover and caretaker of this world will provide for the rest. So as you go about your days, my prayer for you is that God will give you the grace you need to make it through each day. That you will find that God multiplies all of your efforts to meet what needs you can, and the peace of Christ will go with you.